It was Indigenous Peoples Day when hundreds of toy boats filled our lake, each one sailing against the HOA that fined my 5-year-old for dreaming. But when the sheriff refused to stop us, I realized this wasn't just protest, it was rebellion. The paper fluttered on my porch like a threat. $500, unauthorized vessel, it read in bold red ink. A child's toy boat caused this madness. Neighbors whispered as I stood frozen, my son Eli clutching my leg, confused why his tiny plastic sailboat caused adults to act like tyrants. It was Indigenous Peoples Day, the air still and bright, the lake behind our house reflecting orange skies, and our community's ugliness. President Marla Jenkins strutted toward me, clipboard tight to her chest, her sunglasses hiding eyes that never saw innocence. "You broke HAA Regulation 12C, she said coldly. "Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who've faced unfair HOA rules too. No vessels, authorized or otherwise." I almost laughed. It was a 6-inch toy. Eli's lip trembled. "Daddy, did my boat do something bad?" That question stabbed deeper than the fine ever could. Neighbors started peeking through blinds. Some looked guilty. Others smirked. HOA fear ruled this place more than decency. I tore the letter in half. "You can't fine a child's imagination," I said. But Marla just clicked her pen and walked away. That night, I held Eli as he cried over his broken toy boat, now confiscated as evidence. I swore something inside me shifted. By dawn, I knew this wasn't about a toy anymore. It was about dignity, memory, and how one lake could drown fairness itself. We moved to Sand Hollow Estates 5 years earlier, chasing peace, open skies, and the promise of community by the lake. I'd sold my auto shop in Tucson after my wife died, hoping to raise Eli somewhere quiet where people smiled back. At first, Marla and the HOA seemed harmless, organizing barbecues, talking property values, handing out glossy newsletters about neighborhood unity. But behind every rule was control. Behind every friendly reminder was a warning written in pastel colors and fake warmth. The lake was supposed to be for everyone. Our welcome packet said, "Enjoy shared views, not shared use." We didn't understand then. Eli loved the water, spent hours on the dock drawing boats he'd never own. I used to tell him dreams float, even when plastic sinks. Marla once said, "Children are delightful at other people's houses." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. The HOA began banning small things, sidewalk chalk, tree swings, lawn ornaments. Then came the rule about unapproved lake activity. Every month, another family left, tired of warnings about community harmony. The rest stayed quiet, afraid to lose their calm. But I should have known peace built on silence collapses. It took a child's toy to make grown-ups finally find their voice again. It was October 9th, Indigenous Peoples Day. I'd promised Eli we'd spend it fishing and building paper boats together. He ran outside barefoot, his little blue sailboat proudly marked, Captain Eli. The morning sun made the lake shimmer like glass. He set it gently on the water, cheering as it drifted toward the cattails. That's when Marla's golf cart screeched to a stop. She snapped a photo with her phone, muttering, "Evidence of violation." I thought she was joking, until the next morning's fine appeared. Eli watched her, confused. "She doesn't like boats?" he whispered. "She doesn't like happiness," I muttered. I tried explaining to Marla later, but she wouldn't listen. "It's not personal, Mr. Danner," she said. "Rules are what keep us civilized." Her words echoed like a sermon for conformity. The toy was confiscated for review. Eli sobbed, asking if they'd fix it. That night, he drew a new boat and wrote, "To the lake that stole my toy." I felt something snap in me. I posted Marla's fine notice online with the caption, "My 5-year-old's imagination costs $500. Within hours, it went viral. And by morning, Sand Hollow wasn't quiet anymore. The sound of outrage was coming like thunder from every home by the lake. By noon, reporters parked outside the HOA office, cameras pointed at Marla's sign that read, "No unauthorized vessels." Neighbors started sharing their own HOA nightmares, fines for birthday balloons, flags, even kids' lemonade stands. The town was furious. Marla stood firm. "Rules are rules," she said on live TV, her voice shaking slightly as boos rose from the crowd. Eli hid behind me, clutching my hand as strangers shouted, "Let the kid have his boat," and "End the HOA dictatorship." It wasn't just about a fine anymore. It was about the right to live without fear of a clipboard. Marla tried calling for calm, but her words drowned in chants of, "No more fines. No more fear." Then, someone tossed a toy boat into the lake, then another and another, until the water shimmered with hundreds of them. Eli's eyes lit up. "Look, Daddy, everyone's sailing," he said. I felt my throat tighten. Marla's face went pale. The HOA hotline crashed that afternoon. "Unauthorized vessels everywhere," someone reported sarcastically. That night, Eli asked if his boat was happy now. I told him yes, but the storm had only just begun. 2 days later, HOA letters flooded mailboxes again, each homeowner fined $500 for collective noncompliance. People exploded with anger. One neighbor, Bill, slammed his notice onto my porch. "You started this, Jack. What now?" I felt guilt, but also resolve. "Maybe it's time someone did start something," I said, staring at the glowing lake under the moon. Marla called an emergency meeting, demanding immediate restoration of order. She spoke like a general before a battle, not a neighbor. The crowd booed. "We're not criminals for loving our kids," shouted a mother holding her daughter's hand. Marla's lips tightened. "If you can't respect the rules, you can leave." Silence followed, then laughter. The kind that breaks fear. Eli drew another picture that night. Marla standing next to a giant boat labeled Titanic. I almost framed it. Rumors spread that the HOA board planned to ban all toys near the lake entirely. The absurdity lit more fires online. Petitions circulated. News channels camped outside. Marla was losing control, but she'd go down swinging. When a reporter asked her if she regretted fining a child, she said, "He broke a rule." That sentence would cost her everything. On Saturday morning, hundreds gathered at the lakeside park. Handmade signs read, "Let kids be kids," and "No more $500 boats." Eli sat on my shoulders, waving a cardboard sailboat. For the first time, I saw him smile without fear. Marla tried to shut it down. "This is unauthorized assembly," she barked through a megaphone that squealed against the crowd's chanting. Reporters captured every second. Parents cried, kids laughed, and retired veterans saluted the toy-filled lake like it was sacred ground. Someone brought drums. Someone else brought lawn chairs. It turned into a festival of defiance, peaceful and powerful. Marla called the sheriff, but even he refused. "They're not breaking laws, ma'am. They're celebrating freedom." Eli tugged my ear. "Daddy, look." Dozens of toy boats floated together, forming a heart shape on the water. The image spread everywhere. #Toyboat protest trended nationwide. Overnight, Sand Hollow became a symbol of standing up to petty power. The HOA board called an emergency vote to dissolve Marla's leadership. She fought back, claiming defamation by toy. Eli became an accidental hero. Local papers called him the boy who sailed against rules. People mailed him toy boats from every state. I worried about backlash though. Marla was powerful, connected to developers and county officials who liked keeping things quiet. Soon, letters arrived threatening legal action, claims of emotional damage to HOA board members. The absurdity burned like wildfire online. A lawyer offered help pro bono. "These kinds of people thrive on silence," he told me. "You broke that." Eli's school invited him to talk about kindness. He said, "Sometimes grown-ups forget kids just want to play." The audience wept. Meanwhile, Marla tried one last move, banning gatherings related to lake disturbances. It only added fuel to the rebellion. One night, someone left hundreds of paper boats on her lawn, each one labeled unauthorized vessel. By now, every home around the lake had a toy boat on display. Even the HOA's treasurer joined in quietly. The lake had become more than water. It was a mirror showing who people really were. The final HOA meeting was standing room only. Cameras rolled. Marla walked in, trembling but defiant, her clipboard clutched like armor. "I will not resign over childish disobedience," she said. The crowd murmured, tension thick as storm clouds. I stood. "It's not about boats, Marla. It's about decency." She sneered. "You think you're a hero?" "No," I said. "But my son reminded us what freedom looks like." Eli's drawing of the HOA Titanic flashed on the projector. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Marla's jaw dropped. Someone shouted, "All aboard," and the room erupted. The vote followed, unanimous. Marla was removed. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard her clipboard cracked. Afterward, parents hugged each other, tears and laughter mixing like rain on dry ground. Eli climbed onto the podium, holding his toy boat. "Can I put it back now?" he asked softly. Everyone cheered. We walked him to the dock, hundreds following behind, the lake calm again. When that boat touched the water, it wasn't just floating, it was sailing on the tide of everything we'd reclaimed. The new HOA board rewrote the rules. Simpler, kinder. Community meant people again, not punishments. Eli's toy boat was displayed in the clubhouse, next to a sign that read, "The vessel that freed us." Neighbors began talking again, real conversations, not polite nods. Kids laughed freely by the water. The lake belonged to hearts again. Marla moved away quietly. Her house sold fast, but her ghost of control lingered in whispered jokes about clipboards and rules. Eli often asked if she ever said sorry. "Maybe in her way," I told him. "But we don't need it anymore." Each Indigenous Peoples Day after that, families gathered at the lake to sail toy boats, hundreds of them, different colors, floating together. We called it Freedom Float. Kids cheered, parents wept, and everyone remembered that small things can make waves. I watched Eli grow older, taller, stronger, but I never forgot the day a toy became a symbol. He learned courage doesn't always look big, it can fit in a child's hand. And I learned silence isn't peace, it's just the calm before truth finally speaks. Now, decades later, I sit by that same lake, gray-haired, watching grandkids send their own boats sailing into the wind. Eli's boat